Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp and to the episode where we go over some games that we've been playing basically, some interesting games.
Yep, we've got 6 games to talk about. A few of these are new releases actually, at least a couple of them are. Just tell you what we thought of them, to be honest.
Alright, if you want to save yourself 5% on your eShop credit, you can do so over at switchup.gg. You get 5% back in cashback on all of your purchases.
So which games have we been playing recently? Well, let's find out.
All right, let's kick off then with Carmageddon Rogue Shift. Now, if you didn't see this, before it actually released, for about a week there, the performance was appalling, like terribly bad. You were looking at like 20 frames per second, just a complete disaster, really. It has since had a patch, and it runs at 30 FPS now. But what is Carmageddon Rogue Shift? Because I think most people will have heard the Carmageddon name.
To be honest, on paper, it's quite an interesting idea. So the Carmageddon series was all about racing whilst causing as much carnage as is possible. And they've tied that in with a roguelite feature, which we said just before turning the mics on, that it's quite interesting to see how you can use roguelites these days without it being a standard either top-down or platformer of some description, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the races or the battles, you do get power-ups, so you can get machine guns that you can then use to take out your opponents. But the roguelite element comes in the form of damage, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you're basically trying to get as far as you can before your car is damaged beyond repair, and then you'll get your kind of game over, but with some sort of progression available to you. I think it's coins?
Yeah, it's called, it's like a play on Bitcoins. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, and you can then use this for kind of your meta progression outside of the races to strengthen you for future runs.
So yeah, it's a nice idea. It just feels like, because this is an IP, things like Twisted Metal, you know, Destruction Derby and Carmageddon. I know Destruction Derby's more realism, but those three kind of are out at the same time, and there's such a following around them. This is the kind of IP I feel like every time I play this, I'm like, they could have done more.
I think the games were very much of their time to begin with, and this is not the same people making this series anymore. And I think it's just a culmination of a lot of factors that, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as satisfying perhaps as it once did. I think it's one of those series where it probably should never have been a series. It should have just been a one and done or a couple of games tops. Fun while it lasts, and then you move on, you know?
Yeah, I do like the fact they've put things in like boss fights in here. So some of those races will be against a boss, and obviously you're trying to take them out. There is that addictive element to it, you know, the repeating of those tracks. And let's be realistic, racing games in general, they don't really have that. You know, they don't have that quality to them. So it's nice to have that in here. Some of the track designs I felt were a little lackluster. You know, they have that Mad Max feel to them, which is cool, but I don't know, without that special sauce.
I think this is it for me, is you say Mad Max, you know, when people say Mad Max to describe some sort of, I don't know, like barren dystopia.
Yeah.
But there's so much you can do there. You know, it can be whatever you want it to be. And what it seems to always boil down to is make it brown.
Yeah.
Have lots of half pipes that you drive into.
Yeah.
Broken cars along the side of the road. Yeah. And we're done, you know? Couple of tumbleweeds.
Yeah, that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've made it brown.
Yeah, make it brown. If in doubt, make it brown. And for me, it's just a bit uninspiring, I think is a good word to describe this game.
I'll tell you, it would be a perfect, like, heavy sail pickup. You'd probably play it and be like, oh, this is quality. Like, it is good fun. There's zombies all over the track. You know, you're mowing them down. You're getting points for it. Of its time is the perfect way to describe it. This isn't of its time. It's of a past time. And
Exactly. It feels like, this is going to sound really weird, right? But rather than a racing game, I mean, it's clearly a racing game, but it feels more like when you're playing Farm Sim and you're ploughing a field. Yeah. But you're just ploughing zombies instead of crops. You know, like going a bit faster than you would in a tractor.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to end that section.
Farm Sim with zombies. And brown. Very, very brown.
All the brown.
Okay, my first game that I've been playing is Bendy Lone Wolf, it's called.
Was this a roguelite?
It is a roguelite, although it's one of those where it kind of blurs the line, because back in the day, I mean, you had Rogue, the original Rogue game, where obviously roguelites came from. But before that, you just died and lost your progress and started again. And I think sometimes we class things as roguelites that really it's just effectively just a game over.
Yeah.
And this feels more like that, you know? So you play as Boris the wolf, Right.
I know him.
Well, he's invincible. And
Didn't know that.
didn't get the reference either. I'm
No.
lucky.
What was the reference?
Boris, I am invincible.
Oh, GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
How foolish of me.
But you play as Boris, and it's a prequel to Bendy and the Ink Machine. It's set in the Bendy universe.
Yep.
And I did read, I didn't know any of this, I'm not going to pretend I did, but it was initially a game called Boris and the Dark Survival, I think.
Crap name, yeah.
It's a pretty poor name, yeah. And they basically souped it up, jazzed it up a bit more, refined it, and re-released it as Bendy Lone Wolf.
Okay.
Which is the version, obviously, that's out now. So it's a top-down game where you go and run. So it does have that roguelike feel to it. You basically need to find a set amount of resources that are shown to you on the side of the screen and then go back to your safe house. So you go down in a lift, you get to each floor, you find these resources, and then you have to get back to the lift and go back to your safe house.
What's trying to stop you?
Well, this is it. There's this huge creature called the Ink Demon that's like making his way about, as well as smaller creatures. Now, the smaller ones you can fight. You start with a frying pan and you can make new weapons. That's what you need the resources for. But you have this big ink demon that's unkillable. And if it touches you, you die.
Nice.
So you just have to outrun it whenever it turns up or hide from it.
Can I ask a question? And I'm sure I'm not alone. Bendy and the Ink Machine. What is this whole ink machine within this series?
Right. Now, I've played Bendy and the Ink Machine. I've completed it, but it was a while ago. So you have to forgive me if I get some of this wrong. But from what I can remember, you, in that first game at least, were an artist that returned to the studio where you used to work, and your characters that you created had become corrupted. Right. And I think that's where the ink come in. It was something to do with the drawing them with this corrupted ink or something like that.
Okay.
But the creatures are, the enemies are all made out of this ink.
Okay.
And are attacking you, And it's a very clever series in that it uses that kind of rubber hose animation style. These look like characters from the 20s.
Nice.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and Felix the Cat, that sort of thing. And that game was a first-person survival horror.
Yes.
Whereas, like I say, this one is top-down. And it's actually very difficult at times because you're in these very small corridors with lots of rooms with dead ends. And to tilt the camera, you have to turn it in 90-degree intervals. You can't just pan it a little bit.
Right.
So it shifts completely, which can throw you off a little bit, And as I say, sometimes this big ink demon will turn up and you've got to outrun him or hide from him, otherwise you're done and you have to go back and you have to start again. And I died a good few times, just trying to get my bearings, And then what you start to think is, right, I need to collect these 6 items and then run to the lift. Because as soon as you get the 6th item, it goes, right, run, like it's coming,
Yeah.
So you start leaving an item that's quite close to the lift for last, so that you have that short passage back. And just little strategies like that you pick up after a couple of deaths,
I wouldn't. I'd be there, right, collecting all the ones close to the lift, and then going all the way to the far side of the map, and then getting killed every single bloody time.
Well, see, this is the difference.
But now I've learned.
Yeah, now you know.
Thank you.
If in doubt, keep a wrench right next to the lift and you'll be laughing. But I like obviously the aesthetic, same sort of aesthetic. It's got things like little peepholes, like little holes in the wall that you can look through, and it will have like a cardboard cutout of one of the characters. It's just a bit creepy, and it has the ink written on the wall. Find me, help me, beware the ink demon, whatever. Just sets the. It's very sepia toned, which it does look a bit repetitive, but within the world it's creating is understandable. It's not a bad game, actually. It's one of those where, or if you're me at least, you'll die a lot and you have that moment where you go, am I enjoying this? Like I've died a lot.
Yeah.
Played another game recently where the answer was absolutely no. But this time it was actually, I'm enjoying it enough that I think it's me. The problem is me.
Right.
Let's try something different. Let's try a new strategy. And then when you get those resources, you open up new rooms in your safe house and it unlocks further bits,
Nice.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Next up then we've got REANIMAL. Now REANIMAL's just been released, the full build. We played literally a few seconds in co-op, didn't we?
Yeah, so you played more of this yourself, but I just had a quick taster of it, as you say, in co-op.
This is the true sequel to Little Nightmares 2.
Yeah.
So obviously Little Nightmares 3 went on to a different team. They did their best, but I think missing out on local co-op was a real schoolboy error, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had a strange... It was online only, which is, okay, fair enough, if you like, but it was the reason they gave for it. It was so odd.
Yeah.
It was something like, we want to keep the immersion, so keeping you separate from your partner will have you that, or give you that feeling of isolation.
It was stupid.
It was just no rubbish. Like
Absolute
just,
garbage.
Come on, tell the truth.
REANIMAL, though, I think improves in every way.
I think so. Yeah, I didn't know, or I'd forgotten at least, that this was from the same team from Little Nightmares.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just another of those sort of games. But actually, no, they're clearly the masters of it.
They are. They've improved massively the controls, which is something you wouldn't really think of, would you? But it just feels better, doesn't it?
Yeah, because 1 and 2, the controls were definitely the major issue. And then you play the third game and you're like, how have they not fixed this? And then you see, obviously, it's a different team. How they still didn't think to fix them, I don't know. But it's nice to see that the original team, at least in their third game, have fixed them.
What I like about this game, actually, is how little hand-holding storytelling it does.
Yeah.
So they'll be like chatting to themselves and you could completely miss what they've said because it's kind of quiet. It's done in that kind of natural way where if you're paying attention, you might hear a few words between them, but if not, you're not going to miss out hugely. It's just kind of telling the story as it goes, not stopping you every 5 seconds for a flipping cutscene.
Yeah, and it's the way it should be done for this game. You know, it works very well. It's like physical storytelling where the atmosphere tells as much of the story as any words do.
Yeah, and in the environments as well, you end up on like this railway line going across, and there's this horrible, horrible section where there's this creature and it goes through the wall. It like crawls out with its butt hanging out, and it's just gross, you know. You're like, oh, what is this?
Yeah. The first 2 Little Nightmares were very good at that. They had these, macabre characters, and they had these boss sections, not so much fights, you were running, but the controls, you were fighting the controls more than you were fighting the boss. And that's what frustrated me about them, because from an aesthetic viewpoint and a narrative, as we say, almost like physical narrative perspective, they were great, just let down by those controls.
Yeah, this one really is good. It's not the longest game. I believe it's about 6 to 8 hours. Hopefully going to roll credits on this one over this half term. Half term, by the way, here in the UK, the kids are all off school, so you're kind of working around them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I enjoyed the very short amount that I've played of this, and it does make me feel better because I was quite disappointed with Little Nightmares 3. So now seeing why that's the case makes me feel a bit better, and it's one I will pick up at some point and play through myself. But yeah, the small amount I played, it was enough to make me want to play more.
Definitely.
Okay, my second game is the recently released Super Bomberman collection.
This was great fun.
Yeah, so you have here 7 games from the Super Bomberman franchise. So you have Super Bomberman, beg your pardon, from the Super Nintendo, but you have the European, North American and Japanese versions. Same applies for Super Bomberman 2. Super Bomberman 3, you have Europe and Japan. There's no North American version for some reason. Then you have 4 and 5 that didn't release outside of Japan and have been localized, I think, for the first time. And then you have Bomberman 1 and 2, not Super.
Nice.
So earlier games, obviously, in the series. This footage you're seeing is just Super Bomberman, just the first one. It's the only one I've played so far. Played a bit in single player, played some with Mark in multiplayer. I used to love Bomberman. I mean, I still do, but it's a series I've played a lot over the years in many different incarnations.
Yeah, so this one, just to add a bit of extra into there, this is a Switch 2 edition, is that correct?
This particular version we're playing is, yeah.
And I believe that Red Arc Games had a big hand in getting this onto the Switch.
Yes, they've published it, and there is going to be a physical edition as well. So there's a Switch 1 version and a Switch 2. There is a discrepancy in price across the two. There would have been prices at the bottom of your screen. They may have disappeared now, but you can obviously upgrade at a later date should you wish. What I liked about it, I mean, we'll talk about the games themselves in a minute, but the presentation is spot on, isn't it?
Spot on, yeah. Those different boxes for the different regions, it's great.
Yeah, they look fantastic. You can, rotate the boxes and see every angle of them, and it's just so interesting to see the differences in the art style on the box. For the Super Famicom, it's understood, or it's you'd expect it to a degree because the boxes were completely different. They were vertical. You expect it, but even between Europe and North America, for Super Bomberman, for the first one, it reminded me of the Mega Man games when they first came out, and they had these really odd-looking, like, semi-realistic characters.
Yeah.
And they've gone for something similar here. And if you compare it to the European, which is classic Bomberman, it's weird how marketing departments can have such different ideas.
Yeah, I think the EU one, it's fair to say, it just looks better.
It does, in my opinion, yeah, for sure. But it's just an interesting time capsule to see all of that before you even get into the games, and there's galleries and music modes as well. Like I said, we played the first one. So single player, which is something I would say that the Bomberman games are not really well known for. It's all about that multiplayer, isn't it? But you have to find an exit in each of the levels. So very similar kind of single screen.
Okay.
You're blowing up the bricks on the ground to find the exit, but there are enemies in the way, so you have to kill the enemies as well. Every, say, 10 levels, you get to a boss fight. I've played, the most Bomberman I've played actually was the DS Bomberman. Yeah. Which I played huge amounts of back in the day, using the game share that the DS had, whatever it was called, with my wife. I used to play that a lot. Great fun, but it's great to go back to this one, because I used to play this with my cousins using the multi-tap. Yeah. So you had to plug it into the port on the Super Nintendo to get through a player. And I think it's the only game I ever played using that multi-tap. One of my cousins had one. But yeah, we played the multiplayer. How did you find it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I found, as you were chatting there about multiplayer and stuff, it's making me realise that gamers today don't have the same experience that we had, because multiplayer is such a secondary thought these days.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like across games where we were playing on the SNES, most games had some form of multiplayer, whether it was Toe Jam and Earl or it was Bomberman. Then it went into later iterations with the N64, Mario Kart. Everything had a multiplayer.
Yeah. Well,
and you used it, right?
The major difference was that obviously when you say multiplayer these days, I would imagine, I might be wrong, most people's mind would drift towards online. Just saying multiplayer.
Yeah.
Back then, obviously, it was local. It was all about local, and it was a completely different experience. You know, it was so much more fun than playing by yourself. I almost find playing a single-player game these days in the same room as someone and passing the controller more fun than playing an online multiplayer game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. When you're in the same space, it's just a different kettle of fish. Even there's a multiplayer element to both playing a single player in the same room, but just looking across at each other's screens and chatting about it. This morning when I came down, the kids were watching a film, but they had their Switches in front of them. I went, no, you get to choose one screen. Like, I think that's an issue as well. Distractions these days, for us as well as kids and young people, ruin the experience. Yeah. I would really say anyone that you're struggling to play games, switch everything else off. Send the phone away, and just concentrate on the one thing.
Yeah, it's such a lovely throwback to local multiplayer with 7 games, like I said, however many versions there are. I did go through them. I think it equates to about 12 or thereabouts. I might be wrong. But it's such a great series. It's so much fun. If you've never played it, be aware that once you've played one game, you've played a million games. It doesn't ever really change. But for those quick bursts of chaos, it's very close to not being beaten, and this is a really good collection. I'm
going to pick this one up. I think there was only one code for this. I'm actually going to buy this one so that I can get the kids to play it.
Yeah, honestly, it's a sort of game that, for them these days, maybe on the first couple of goes, they'll be like, is that it?
Yeah.
But then it hooks you.
It's great.
Doesn't it? And then it's like, yes, it is the answer, but actually what's here is great.
Yeah.
Just give it a chance,
It's that Tetris style of gameplay. It's perfect for what it wants to do.
We had, at uni, my friend Dave, who has done reviews for us before and whatnot, we used to play the TurboGrafx version because he had it on his Wii on the virtual console.
Yeah.
And for some reason, whenever we played, so we played us two and then the CPU taking up the other slot. The green Bomberman for the computer was crazy. Like, he would just go mad, drop bombs everywhere, blow himself up, and it just become this thing we laughed about all the time. The green Bomberman was almost become like an analogy for anyone that just did things on impulse, and it's good memories,
Yeah, there's always that character in different games at uni, isn't there? We used to play, this is such a red herring, we used to play not Sensible World of Soccer, Pro Evo. Right, Pro Evo 6, Makalele.
Yeah.
The commentator used to berate him. He'd be like, Makalele, he's done it again. So then if anything bad happened in life, we'd just shout Makalele.
Which is ironic because he was a cracking player.
Was he?
Kept things simple. That was his whole game. He was called the water carrier.
Was he?
Because he did all the hard work, pass the ball to someone with a bit more flair, and ultimately for Chelsea, unfortunately for me as a Spurs fan, they'd score a goal, but he was a cracking player. So I don't know what the commentator's problem was there. Sort your life out.
I'm going to end then with a game that I've been playing just for enjoyment. So we did Final Fantasy VII, the full review on the channel. Obviously, I'd previously played it on another platform, so it was more of a case of getting performance. Oh, that was a real tongue twister.
It was
a lot of P's in there. But I then went back and I started a 100% playthrough on Switch 2. And it's brilliant. And I was saying this, I think I've said this a couple of times now. Yes, I basically take the fact that I got the score wrong for sound and audio.
Yeah, you mentioned this the other day.
Yeah, it's because it's eating away at me. I gave sound and audio 19 out of 20. It's 20 out of 20.
Right.
It just is.
Yeah.
I got it wrong, basically. But the game itself is great. Like, really, it's really nice as well. I said to my daughter, I was like, this needs to be your next game. She's currently working through a game that I can't mention because it's under embargo, and she's loving it. But there was a time in her life where she'd just play any old rubbish. And then I was like, no, you need to play proper games. Air quotes. You know?
Yeah.
So now she's moving from proper game to proper game. And I think this should be her next. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I've done that with my son. I don't want to take us off track of the game.
Yeah.
But just a quick tangent. We recently bought him a Switch for his birthday. His first ever real console. He's had an iPad with free-to-play games on and stuff. But, like, as you say, proper games.
Yeah.
But what I've said to him, because he does struggle with attention, his attention span is pretty bad. And we wanted to try and help him with that. So he's only allowed to play one game and finish it before he can move on.
That's good.
If not completely finish it, at least play a decent amount of it where it's not just like it was on the iPad, play, delete it, next one. And he's done really well, like fair play to him. He finished a Lego Ninjago game.
Yeah.
He's had a good go at another Lego game, the Horizon one, and he's just moved on to something else, I forget which. And he had a Nickelodeon racing game as well, very standard kids games.
Yeah.
But it really has helped him keep his attention. And it does show the value of games,
It's huge. It's a massive thing to do, I think. I think it's really important. I should imagine there's a lot of people listening to this looking at their backlogs, thinking about their current playtime, thinking, flip, I need to do something similar.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite cathartic, I think, to focus on one game and not, or avoid the distraction of moving on all the time, which is something that doing this channel doesn't always afford us.
No.
But when you can step away from it and play for fun, in air quotes, you know what I mean? It's nice to just focus on one.
Yeah, I would say kind of a start point, a good start point is to use the groups function on your Switch 2, make a group and maybe put 1 or 2 games in that you really want to finish. And then you can always just go into that folder and chip away. That works well for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I at the minute at least, am kind of separating my work playtime being Switch 2, obviously. And then if I want to play something for fun, I do it on the PS5.
Yeah.
So I can just step away from seeing the home screen with a bunch of games on there. That, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but, games I wouldn't have necessarily put on there otherwise. They are for a review or whatnot. And then being able to go to a clean UI on my other console where it's just games I want to play. I find that quite helpful for me,
Definitely, yeah.
Sorry, so back to Final Fantasy. I steered you off course there. Just tell me a bit about it, because I know it's an old game, obviously, and it's been remade. But in terms of the fact there's another one coming, and I don't know a lot about 7 to begin with to even know about how they've split these new ones. So what is it all about?
So in 7, the old school one, you started out in Midgar. You blew up the first reactor. I think that's like very well known. It's not a huge spoiler. And then you join this group called Avalanche. But very quickly you leave Midgar and head out into the world and go to other places. In the remakes, the trilogy, the whole first game is set within Midgar.
Oh, right.
Yes, you see far more of it. You learn more about the people. It's so faithful. It's so faithful to the game. So like every little detail from those games that looked, I liked it. I think the PlayStation's old school polygon style was very stylish, but potentially a bit janky, has been remade in this. There's a section where you're like in the playground and you're with like, I think it's like I don't know if she's an ex-girlfriend or what, but that whole scene is so well created, like for like, whilst looking significantly better. They're great games. The combat is also nice. It's not turn-based, just straight in, swing the sword around. Yeah, they're just brilliantly made. The combat, I think, is the biggest step up from the original release. Some people won't like me saying that because everyone, they like their turn-based.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But for me, is the way that I like to play now. I just think it's a big improvement. Apart from when you fight that bloody house. Anyone that's played the game, that stupid house And it was even in the original Final Fantasy, there's this house boss.
Right.
Comes out of nowhere. You're in like an arena fighting. And suddenly a actual house on legs comes and fights you. And it's a nightmare.
Right.
Yeah, that's still a nightmare.
I wonder if they'll ever remake Final Fantasy VI like this, because that's another well-loved one, and it was on the Super Nintendo, so the difference would be even more stark.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they'll do 8.
You think they'll do 8?
Yeah.
Right.
Because 8 was the first to go into the realism look. And people didn't like the story. It had this love story. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
It came on 4 CDs. That's huge.
Yeah.
But there's a massive following behind that game.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, a remake of that one.
Nice. Right, my last one then is, this was the game I was playing on the flight home from Germany.
Yeah.
And it's Corpse Party, Blood-Covered Repeated Fear.
Oh, that's easy to say.
So I basically bought from Play Asia the Corpse Party, how do you say it? Tetralogy pack. So 4 games, Tetra.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And this is the first of those 4. And it's actually got a similar story development-wise to the first game I spoke about, the Bendy game, where it started as a game, I think it was like 96, which was made in RPG Maker.
Nice.
Then they remade it in 2008 with like added cutscenes and amateur voice acting. Then they remade it in 2010 with professional voice acting and polished it up and whatnot. And that's the version on here.
Nice.
So again, I'm not pretending to know any of this. I looked all this up just out of interest for the series, you know. But it was a series I always wanted to play. But every time I tried to play it, it wasn't released physically in my region.
Right.
Like there was one on the 3DS, and that was North America only as far as the West was concerned, I think. And it was on the PSP, I think, as well. So seeing this pack, and obviously it has English subtitles, it was a good time to buy it.
What do you do? What is it?
So it's basically like a top-down survival horror.
Okay.
With a heavy emphasis on puzzles. Now, I did read, again, if I'm wrong here, I do apologise. I don't proclaim to know a lot about the series, that original 96 version had turn-based combat in, and that was taken out in the later revisions. But it's more, or it's very story-heavy. It almost feels like a more interactive visual novel.
Yes.
You know, with the movement around and what have you, and the puzzles to solve. More than an adventure game in the traditional sense. But the story's quite interesting. So you basically have this group of teens in their school one night, they're doing something. So they're in the building later than you would be, you know. And one of them is leaving soon. So they're doing like this friendship ritual. And it goes awry, something goes wrong. And basically the school, before it was built, there was another school on this premises that was knocked down because it had a terrible history. There were murders there and whatnot. And through this ritual going wrong, they end up transported to that school.
Right.
And there's like the dead bodies on the floor, and you can see their last thoughts, and you can read the notes of what's happened to them, and you have to piece together the mystery behind the killings at this school.
This is giving me, for some weird reason, Digimon Survive vibes. Like a lot of them do that, don't they? Where you're visiting these places in different times. There's this history.
Yes. Yeah, you're right, actually. I played that one as well, and it's very similar now I think about it. Story-wise, certainly. But it's just one I'd wanted to play for a long time, you know, and I only played it for the hour and a half, whatever it was that we were on the plane. I've not touched it since. But I was quite getting into it. It's just life then gets in the way and stops you from playing it. So I do want to return to it. But this package with the 4 games is a decent one to pick up if, like me, it's a series you've always wondered about. I believe you can buy them separately on the eShop.
Right. Okay.
So if you could, then the price you would have seen at the bottom would have been just for this one game.
Okay.
Not the pack, because that's the one I'm talking about. But just be aware there is that pack available.
Yeah, nice. I saw those on your Switch. I was wondering what they were all about. So yeah, I'm glad I now know.
That's it then. That's 6 games that we've been playing recently. As we always say, do let us know of any that you've played. Good or bad, just let us know your thoughts on what you've been playing.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, let us know, as Glenn says. Also, if you want to save yourself a bit of bunts, do so over at switchup.gg, where you can get 5% in cashback.
That's the one.
I'm going to say that differently every single time from now on, I've decided.
I look forward to it.
Good.
Thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support. And to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.